Welcome to Tech Talk and to our special swissnex series. Now, every month we travel around the world together with swissnex to bring you the latest on innovation and technology. This month we head over to India, where swissnex will be focusing on renewable energy, hosting the Intersolar Energy Conference in Bangalore as part of Clean Tech Week. Joining us now from Bangalore is Sebastian Hug. He is CEO and Consul General of swissnex India to tell us more. Sebastian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so if you can give me a general overview then of swissnex's role in India.
Sure, thank you. So swissnex India is here in Bangalore since 2010. I think the way we see our mission is around 4 C's. So context, collaboration, connections, and creating visibility. So we think here in India, of course, when we bring entrepreneurs, when we bring academics, that they first need to know the context around India. So how do you do a business as a startup? How do you facilitate collaborations with academic partners? So we do like workshops and of course, and also connect them with those partners. So the second point, connection. So we have a large network across different fields, from academia to startups to companies to policymakers. And I think that's I see the value of what we do is really connecting maybe a scientist with a policymaker, maybe an entrepreneur with a large company. So really across sectors, from renewable energy to blockchain to gaming, really across those different sectors. And eventually, I hope that we can then facilitate and catalyze collaborations, whether it's a collaboration with a startup or a university. So they will make sure that those people have discussions, that they see where the opportunities lie. And we really curate sort of platforms where they can have those dialogues. And then finally, around all of that, we create visibility because, of course, part of our job is also to highlight Switzerland as a country not only known for chocolate and cheese, and I think that's what a lot of Indians know here, and especially I think here in India also like for Bollywood movies. But beyond that, really, Switzerland as a country for technology, for innovation, and yeah. So I think around those 4 C's, we build up our activities, and always in close partnership with our mandate partners such as universities or even other ministries, such as, for example, in that very case with the Swiss Federal Office of Energy.
Okay, we're going to talk about more on that in just a second, but just give me a feeling for the significance of the market, of the Indian market to Switzerland.
Sure. So, I mean, India is the fastest growing economy in the G20, right? So over the last 10 years, they've had an average growth rate of 7%. So really, India has been an emerging country, and not only in terms of economy and business, but also when it comes to innovation, technology. And so I think that is also why swissnex has come here to Bangalore, because Bangalore is really one of those leading innovation and startup ecosystems that one of the best ones here in Asia. And so we see the huge potential for researchers, for startups, but also innovative companies to connect with this ecosystem here and to really tap into this talent pool that Bangalore has to offer.
Yeah, I was curious as to why Bangalore over, let's say, Mumbai or Delhi.
Sure. So, I mean, you have different mega centers here in India. So, if Delhi, where you have, the policymakers, where politics is happening, then you have Mumbai. Mumbai is more of the business center, I would say, where you have maybe the finance, the banks, and then you have Bangalore. And Bangalore, that's a place where, in the beginning, in the 90s, it was more, and even early 2000s, like the IT outsourcing center. And that has really evolved. So they're not doing just outsourcing, but they're really leading innovation. And around that, you have a ton of startups that have been created out of some of the top institutions here, education institutions here in Bangalore. And so Bangalore has gone through a huge change over the last 10, 15 years. And this is why we are here in Bangalore, because of this vibrancy, because of the startups and this top innovation that we'll find here.
It sounds like a very dynamic environment for sure. So let's address then this idea that we introduced earlier, which is how India is also focusing on renewable energy. I mean, according to studies, it's now a world leader in renewable energy. I've got a climate scope report in front of me that ranks at #2 in the world in terms of developing countries that are moving in that direction. And so it must be a very exciting time for renewable energy for you in particular.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the fields where we see the most opportunities for Switzerland and for our stakeholders. The federal government, the government of India actually has set very ambitious targets. So until 2022, they want to have 175 gigawatts capacity here in India. And so out of these 175, 100 should be in solar, another 60 in wind. So with that, of course, when you need that much more renewable energy, there's also like more investments into education, research, and innovation. And that's why we're here, where we're bringing actually this delegation of academics, of startups, entrepreneurs, and also some SMEs to kind of tap into to see where the opportunities lie for them.
But do you think, I mean, I want to talk about Clean Tech Week in just a second, but do you think that India will actually be able to get off coal so quickly?
No. So coal will remain for the next couple of decades, of course, the most important source of energy. That being said, as I mentioned before, the Indian economy is growing really rapidly. So India needs more than coal. India really needs renewable energy, and this is what the Indian government has recognized, and that's also why they have defined those ambitious targets. And so that then, of course, creates a whole impetus, actually, for researchers, for entrepreneurs to find new solutions. But it's true, coal will remain for the next couple of decades, of course, a very important source of energy.
Okay, so then let's talk about Clean Tech Week. We've got a couple of things we're looking at. We've got the Intersolar conference, what you said, you were going to be bringing together, 15 startups. Is that right? From Switzerland.
So not only startups. So we have, and I think that's a characteristic of swissnex, it's a mix of startups, of academics, of SMEs, and policymakers. So it's really this mix of people that we're bringing here to Bangalore.
Okay, all right. So they're going to be joining you for about a week, right? You call it Clean Tech Week. And
yes,
then
exactly.
You've also got the IndoSwiss Social Innovation Camp. Tell me about this.
So this is a program that we're planning together with EPFL, ECAL Design School, and HEC Lausanne. And the idea there is really to bring students from different disciplines, from those different backgrounds, to come here to India to solve a social issue. So it could be e-waste, or it could be related to other sort of social impact issues. And this is a little bit what EPFL has done already in China with the Hardware Innovation Camp, and we thought we'd take that to India. And here we have then partnered up with a foundation called the Selco Foundation, and they will provide us with, if you want, problem statements, and then together with Indian students, they will be working on a possible solution. So it's really about taking those students out of their comfort zone and bring them to India and find a solution, an innovative solution to a problem that will have a social impact.
Now, one of the companies that is that you have has kind of come from your camps and your endeavors is this Synergy, which is a solar energy company based in Ticino. Tell me more about how this came about.
So we actually contacted them because we have a program with IndoSwiss, the Swiss Innovation Agency, to help Swiss startups internationalize, to help them to understand the Indian market and to maybe eventually enter the Indian market. And so we got in touch with them, and with this huge potential that the Indian energy market has to offer, especially when it comes to solar. They saw the opportunity. And so as part of this innovation, IndoSwiss market entry camp in September, they came here. So again, we did workshops, business modeling. We put them in touch with peers, with other entrepreneurs, with potential partners. And they have seen that there is opportunity for them, and they will come back. So in December, to actually then sign a partnership with a local company, say more all the details. But so this is really one of the success stories where we see if you bring together the right people, if you curate the discussions nicely, and if you find the right sectors, then these kind of nice success stories can come out of that.
And it's always nice to highlight the examples because, as you know, there's always, it always looks like a good PR effort on behalf of a country to say we set up these offices in different countries to connect and whatever, and good faith and inspire people. But it's always good to have these concrete examples of how these programs actually work.
Yes, absolutely. It needs a lot of time. It needs a lot of curation. And I mean, over the last 5 years, I believe we had about 300 startups that we have advised in one way or another. And of course, not all of them will come to India. Some startups might actually decide not to come to India. But in some sense, even that is maybe a little bit of success because they have actually not wasted their energy and their money to come here. So really, we help them to evaluate whether India is the right market for them, whether it's the right time for them. And so even if they don't come, it may very well be a success because they can then focus maybe on other opportunities.
And what can Switzerland really learn about innovation from India?
Well, I'd like to give you an example. We have set up with ETH Zurich and some other University of Applied Sciences and also funded by the Gilbert Rue Foundation, a program called the India Industry Internship Program. It's where we bring engineering students from Switzerland and let them work in a robotic startup here in India. And so the feedback we get is really interesting because they say, when I'm back in Switzerland and we solve a problem, there's never an issue of money. Whereas here, we really have to be and think in very cost-effective terms. So how can we produce innovation that is not only high-tech, high quality, but also very, very, very cost-effective? Because as we know, the Indian market is very cost-sensitive. So they have to rework and rethink and really think outside the box to find good solutions that are high quality, at the same time very cost-effective. And that's also something that we see with Swiss companies that come to India, that they have, they want to keep their reputation, so it has to remain high quality products from Switzerland. At the same time, they can't sell them at the same price like in Switzerland. So they have to innovate around that and with some very interesting outcomes.
So we're talking in general about the kinds of challenges that Swiss companies are facing in terms of research and development.
Yes, exactly. So in the beginning, when you look at the Swiss companies here in India, they come here to sell their products. But what they realize very often is that you have to adapt your business model, and sometimes you have to adapt your product as well. So they invest into R&D to make and to fit those products more to the Indian market. And what's interesting is that they adapt those products, and eventually they're still high quality products, but maybe more cost effective, are also interesting for other markets outside of India. So for example, recently we have visited R&M, which produces fiber optic cables, and they have made a product which is now also sold in Bulgaria, for example. So there's really innovation happening here in a very cost effective way, and I think that's really interesting development.
And just to wrap it up and switching gears a little bit, we've been talking about renewables, solar, et cetera, but you are also involved in other sectors of technology, of course, there in India, including things like gaming.
Absolutely. So just 2 days ago, we had a game designer, Chris Solarski, here, and he was talking about the importance of shapes in video games. And I think that's also like one characteristic of swissnex. So it's not just about technology, but it's also about creativity. It's really about combining creativity, arts, design with innovation. And then that's something that I think no other foreign government does here in India, at least not to my knowledge, is to bring this kind of people to India to facilitate and curate this kind of exchange. And so with Chris Solarski, there was a partnership with Pro Helvetia, where we brought him to various game designer companies here in Bangalore. And hopefully out of that, we also will have some nice success stories of collaboration.
All right. Well, I will look forward to hearing all about it. Thank you so much, Sebastian, for your time, your insights, and have a wonderful, clean week.